Welcome to On the Firing Line on the information station, AM 1440 KUHL. Information, education, news, and politics of firearms and ammunition is found here. If you have any questions, call us at 1-888-625-1440. That's 1-888-625-1440.
The Bill of Rights, including the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Think of this. It actually gained final ratification in 1791. But not soon after, in 1837, Georgia passed a law banning handguns, which was ruled by their state courts as unconstitutional and thrown out.
You are on the firing line with Joe, Matt, and Kanani. Be a part of today's show by calling in at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the Santa Maria area, give us a call at 928-1440. So we can see right there, all the way in 1837, they were doing gun control.
Absolutely.
They were saying no handgun. What do you think it was back then, why they couldn't have handguns?
You know, that's really a good question. I didn't look as far into it, but I would imagine that there were people that were feeling uneasy or afraid to see somebody else with a gun on their side, and perhaps they didn't have one themselves.
Okay, kind of like in Tombstone, where they have to check the guns in at the town, maybe.
Right. Well, and you know what? To think of it, that was some of the first actions that really were against the law. And if it had to be pushed through Supreme Court, that would have been found unconstitutional. Mm-hmm. They were disarming the civilians when they had no right to do that.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. And they did it like, well, you're going to come into our city, you're going to give these up. You know, so right there, I mean, just because you want to come into the city, you have to, is that the price you pay? But that's not a price that a city can, you know.
Right. And you know what, that reminds me of some of the Clint Eastwood movies where, I think remember they painted the whole town red? I forget what the
I don't know, they all meshed together with me.
It said, "Welcome to Hell." Well, think of this. If you had to give up your guns as a civilian to live in the city, then you had to hire somebody to come protect you because you couldn't protect yourself. And if you'd never had a gun and your children didn't know how to use guns, you had to be taught how to use a gun, which was totally against what the Second Amendment meant.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, and even, you know, nowadays, you know, the way the Second Amendment is written, I've seen people, you know, they put the exact same thing that we just read, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of the state. People don't put the commas in, and they try and play it off like, well, it's one thing. It's not. There's not a militia, and there's not citizens. You know.
Exactly. I'm glad that you said that. That's why I paused each comma.
Exactly. Totally, dude. I totally
to get you to realize that, hey, wait, one section is its own.
Right.
And
exactly.
Put them all together.
There's a well-regulated militia, and then there's the right of the people to keep and bear arms, and then both of them shall not be infringed.
Both of them.
Both of them. Hot diggity.
You know, and think of this. In that ruling in Georgia, that set precedents, right, in the courts, which from then on, the Supreme Court or any other court had to look back at that precedence and base opinions and rulings off of that. Well, let's hope not opinions. Let's hope that they were based off of rulings. Right. Of course, to myself, and I think to most of us who listen to this show, the Second Amendment was the ultimate precedence.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, just like you were saying, for Georgia to pass a law like that, and then obviously, of course, it got shut down, but that was one of the first unconstitutional Second Amendment things, probably.
Right.
And like you said, it set precedents all the way up the line until now, probably.
Well, look at our Heller case. Look at a number of cases that are happening now where, you know, sure, it takes time. The law comes out, and sometimes it happens right away, but a lot of times it takes time for somebody to either get the money or figure out, hey, look, my rights have been violated and it's affected me in such a way that now I can go to the courts with this and present my case.
And that's an unfortunate thing nowadays, too. You know, people spend a lot of time and money trying to prove that they were wronged, you know, unconstitutionally.
Right. Talk about a lot of money, because how much does a lawyer get in court?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and just, you know, you stack those things up, and just, you know, they do that just to find the right time or the right, let's say, you know, circumvent the back road, the shortcut, basically. But, that's just because they don't make it easy for anybody.
Right. Well, you got to think of it. This is the ideals of liberalism. And in today, how they align themselves with personal preference to pass Supreme Court decisions defending constitutional rights. And this is, when I say that, that's because in today's times, we see them attacking our constitutional rights even after these things were so solid. Mm-hmm. And like you said, they'll take the comma out of the whole statement just to change the meaning because of their preference.
Right.
And it's all their way of getting their agenda across. And it's something that we have to be very vigilant about, fight it. Because if we don't, we're going to lose these rights. We're going to lose the original meaning, the original context of everything. Yep. I mean, can you imagine waking up tomorrow and the Constitution is like, freedom for all, everybody, but those.
Yeah. Total communism,
Yeah, socialism.
Yeah, and it's, I guess it wouldn't happen tomorrow, hopefully, but it's not that wild of a stretch to think. Just the way this country's going, you look at people, you talk to people, you see everything that's going on, and things are vastly astray,
Oh, my God. Well, we see so many socialistic ideas coming into play, and socialism is a form of communism. Let's put it straight what it is.
Oh, yeah.
There is no such thing as a perfect utopia, and if there was a perfect utopia, would you want to live in it?
Yeah, well, they got that new show, Utopia. So I guess we'll see.
It's just amazing to me how all this stuff works. Today we're going to be talking about the myths of the assault weapon, the fallacies in the just inaccurate reporting or straight out lies of what things mean and what things are when it comes to firearms. While we talk about firearms today, try to think for yourself, and talk amongst your friends. This doesn't just go into firearms. They use this kind of propaganda and lies and stuff to attack all kinds of things.
All kinds.
I mean, look at Measure P that's happening here in our own county. There's all kinds of lies and misconceptions going on there, and they don't think about the overall outcome. And it's based off of somebody's ideals that are, I don't know what.
Misinformation.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Scare tactics.
Scare tactics. And that's
a good point.
Exactly what all this is scare tactics. Great point. So stay tuned with us here, because when we come back, we're going to dive into this. We're going to even talk about what the meaning of assault weapon means, where it came from, kind of, and really put some thought behind it, because if you think about it, it makes no sense. So we'll be right back with you on the firing line.
You're listening to On the Firing Line on the information station.
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We will be right back with you on the firing line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifles, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Building an AR-15, they have lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies and stuff.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol classes and have trained thousands of local ladies.
The store is located off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit. Look for the big rifle sign on the freeway as well as the giant 5-ton Tactical military truck, and they're now open on Mondays. America!
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years.
Have you been looking for a new or used motorcycle or all-terrain vehicle?
With a staff that has a combined 270 years of experience to inspire and help you make that informed decision.
Santa Maria Motorcycles is your one-stop shop, and their mission is to provide you with that ultimate experience.
They also have rentals, so you can take that ride you have been dreaming of up the coast.
They're located at 2022 Presker Lane in Santa Maria, or give Chris and his team a call at 805-928-3668. Again, that's 805-928-3668.
We're happy to have a special guest here today at the Plumbing Talk Studios, Jeremy Griffin, owner of Griffin Plumbing in Orcutt. Welcome, Jeremy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Jeremy, the reason your plumbing company is called Griffin Plumbing is that your last name is, in fact, Griffin.
Yeah, that's right.
Unbelievable! Griffin, just like the legendary creature with the body of a lion and the wings of an eagle.
Yeah.
What a brilliant move, Jeremy.
I'm a genius.
To name your plumbing company after this majestic creature. A creature known not only to have divine power, but also to be a protector from all things evil.
Well, it is my last name.
Audience, listen carefully. If your plumbing devices are threatened in any way, I implore you to seek the power and protection of the Griffin.
We're always here to help. Just give us a call.
Call the Griffin.
Find us at callgriffinplumbing.com or call 934-1949.
Welcome back to On the Firing Line with Joe, Matt, and Kanani.
That's right. You are on the firing line with Joe, Matt, and Kanani. Give us a call at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. All right. So what are we taking on next?
Wow, assault weapons. All right.
We're taking on the world.
We're going to take this term on. Yeah, we are taking. Well, I guess
Yeah,
you
pew, pew.
could consider it the world, because look at how many other countries have adopted what we've started.
Oh, man.
Or not what we've started, but perhaps the Brady campaign
What
or
they've
Clinton.
started.
Yeah, what they have
The
started.
collective they.
The collective they. A one world socialistic government. I don't think
That's
so.
weapon free.
Weapon free,
Weapon-free.
exactly.
They're going to get that one world government without weapons, obviously, right?
Yeah. Well, weapon free. It's kind of like fire. Go ahead.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. First of all, for a lot of people out there, if you were to hear the term assault weapon, you are immediately going to be thinking of something. This is something that's been portrayed by the media, and we assume automatically that it's a fully automatic weapon. You think?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm almost positive, because this happens to me all the time when I talk to people. When they hear, assault rifle, and it's always somebody who doesn't know that's saying it.
Okay.
People automatically turn and they think, oh, is that one of those AR-15 things? Those shoot full automatic, right? And they're like, they don't even shoot they don't even know the word for semi-automatic, but they're trying to explain to me they don't shoot semi-automatic, they only shoot full automatic, because that's what an AR-15 does.
That's what the AR means,
Yeah.
obviously.
It's automatic
Exactly.
rifle, right?
Exactly.
AR
And
for
AR
automatic
means
rifle.
automatic rifle. So, and that's people that think they are intelligent on the matter, because at least they have an idea of what AR could potentially stand for, even though it's wrong.
Right.
So they're coming at me like they actually know these facts. And I mean, there's a lot of times you got to there's not a whole lot you can say.
Except Armalite.
Yeah, armor light.
Rifle.
And then you kind of got to explain that the whole assault rifle thing is, it doesn't exist. It's a word that floats around up there and rains what on us. And then that just perpetuates, and people just get it dug in their head. Oh, that's an assault rifle.
Well,
it happens at the shop.
It does. It does all the time. God, I want to buy one of those assault rifles you have up on the wall. We're like,
Yeah.
excuse me, we do not sell assault
Don't sell
rifles.
those.
Yeah.
No.
Unfortunately.
But here, let's check this out. Let's break it down. Assault rifle. Okay, we all know what a rifle is. That's a long gun, and it's simple. It could be a fully automatic weapon if we could have those, except those have been on a specific ban across the United States since, 1968 or 69?
It can,
And
I mean, a rifle, it can also just be a bolt-action rifle.
right.
So,
Heck, it could be a rubber band rifle. I don't know.
Yeah. Pew, pew.
But assault. What does assault mean?
Well, I mean, just that word alone, not connected with a rifle.
Yeah.
You think of somebody being assaulted, which, I know the term is loose, but when it's connected to the rifle, they basically may as well just call it the violent rifle or the death rifle.
Well, okay, and that's kind of where we're going with this. But what does the word assault mean? And what is the difference between the word assault and battery?
See, that's what I was just thinking, because technically you'd assault him if it's, there's an intruder and you shot too close to them. That would be assault, right?
I guess in a sense that would be assault. Assault would be, well, here, I've actually got the meaning.
All right, take it away.
Assault is an unlawful attempt coupled with a present ability to commit a violent injury on the person of another. So it's an attempt. It's not the actual act of doing it. So if a rifle is not going to kill somebody,
Right.
then I guess it's and you try to kill somebody but you don't. And keywords: if you try to kill somebody and you don't touch them, don't do it, and you don't kill them, well, that's an assault.
Right. That's the way
That's
I would
not too
interpret
scary.
it.
That means I'm not getting hurt. So assault weapons mean, hey, they've got a weapon, I'm not going to get hurt.
Perfect. But maybe that's not what it
All right. So then we look at battery, right?
All right.
So battery is any willful and unlawful use of force or violence upon a person of another.
I see where we're going here.
Okay. So
Yes. I want to get a battery rifle.
exactly, dude. I want a battery rifle. Okay, I mean honestly, why do they call artillery battery?
Yeah, it's
battery
an
of
artillery
artillery.
battery.
That's because that's raining down terror and it's going to do some damage to you.
Yeah, that stuff hurts.
Hey, and think of this. In the military, what do they call an assault? What is an assault? Come on, you guys.
Like, what is an assault? An attack?
An attack, which is what?
Aggressive? An offensive maneuver?
If you have a squad and you say we're going to assault that hill, what does it mean?
Going to take that hill?
Yeah.
That
We're
is
going
now
to
going to be
charge
mine.
the
Charge the hill. That was, yeah, okay. Yeah,
Does
yeah.
it mean that we're going to kill everybody?
Negative. It means we're going to take the ground and put our feet on it. If everybody up there wants to stay around and get killed, that's their fault.
I mean, this is what it all breaks down to. This is how ignorant people came up with the word assault rifle, not even knowing the difference between assault and battery.
Yeah, not even really knowing the full term.
So, are you trying to say that then the use of assault is not the action of, but rather an attempt or a tool to be used in battery?
Assault is not a tool to be used in battery. Assault and battery are two completely separate things. Assault is the action of not getting anything done, but attempting it. Battery is actually getting it done. That's like
That's a good
if I
point.
come up
Okay.
and I go to touch you, but I don't touch you. It's like, but I point my finger at you and I'm poking it in your face, but I'm
Yeah.
not touching you. That's kind of assault.
Yeah.
Now, if I come up and I punch you, that's battery.
Yeah, it's if you swing and miss, it's assault. If you swing and connect, it's battery.
Okay.
So where do they get the idea of assault weapon?
So that's
Is
what
it-
I'm trying to figure
is it-
out. It's like, how then
Well,
does that even connect?
I think it's
They-
just the
it
word.
does not.
Worsens the intimidation
The
factor
word-
of using that word.
Scare tactics.
I'm with.
There you go.
Steal
That's
it
what
from
it
you.
is. It's just the word. The word assault. It sounds. It sounds like an assault
Oh,
about
yeah.
the. I mean, that's so. It just helps
Oh, book
make
you with assault.
You put that word in front of the word rifle. First of all, you have rifle, which the word alone to people that don't like guns is offensive enough.
Right.
And then you throw assault right next to it, and all
Well,
of a
that
sudden
just
you got
sounds
the
terrible.
Exactly. You have this word that sounds so quote evil that there's no way they're going to vote for any laws for people to have those.
Oh, heck no.
And they don't know the difference. What they're calling assault rifles are our semi-automatic weapons and guns that we have that are no more dangerous or less dangerous than anything else, but they're still seeing the word assault rifle and thinking, oh my God, these people have military weapons that are going full automatic or whatever it is. Full automatic seems to be the common theme here.
Yeah, I like what you kind of said, but didn't quite
Yeah, I don't
explicitly
really nail
say
it down, so-
No, when you were saying that this assault weapon is going to be able to do more damage than anything else, because they don't. Just because you put that name on it doesn't
Right.
change
It
that.
doesn't make it more or less dangerous than anything.
Exactly, and I think that's part of what they're reasoning between we have to ban them, because those somehow can do more damage or more danger or more harm than something that isn't called an assault rifle.
Then a
Yes, my
sporting
battery,
rifle.
Right,
my battery
right.
rifle is
Yeah.
not
Right.
as dangerous.
Yeah.
So, and that's now a lot of rifles are called sporting rifles.
Right.
So is that going to be the next term? They're sporting. The sport is they're going to come out and kill us all.
Let us label everything.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's totally
Okay.
where I was going with that. And why?
But let's be politically correct about it, because if we don't like the label, we need to change it.
Well, we need to change the label to be something that furthers our agenda.
Yes,
Because
something
sporting
that-
rifle isn't very scary.
You're right.
Well, okay. So what label could we put on that rifle?
That you just said it.
Yeah.
Rifle.
Oh, rifle.
Why-
Well,
Just regular
that's right.
rifle.
That's the label that's already been there.
Yeah. Why
do we need to expand on
let's
it?
just erase the BS first couple words that they always keep adding and just leave it at what it is.
Well,
It's
that
a
works
rifle,
for racism too.
right?
That person
Oh my! What do you mean that person?
Don't you mean that person?
Those people.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
No, but that's a good point, though. But I think, yeah, just rifle.
Okay, so what this really breaks down to bring it back into fold here, is the brainwashing.
Yes.
And the brainwashing is for scare tactics. The brainwashing is something that will not go away because, as you said, it's an agenda. It's pushed by agenda for scare tactics to get the agenda accomplished.
To make money.
These are tactics.
Yes.
These kind of tactics are going to be around forever. And if we let ourselves become ignorant, if we do not do the research, do not do the reading, then these tactics are going to affect us and change our lives. And you know what? I was talking with somebody before the show, and they made an excellent point. We need to do our research, especially when it comes to voting times, because, for instance, judges that we vote in, of course, we don't vote in the Supreme Court, but we do vote in our local judges, right?
Yep.
We vote the people who appoint to the Supreme Court.
Right.
Yep.
How do they, that too. How do these people perceive certain words? What is their track record and what things mean? You know, are they the type of people that will buy into the hysteria of a new word set out before us to get somebody else's agenda across? I mean, these are some important things to think about. This is crazy stuff.
And that's a good thing. I mean, you can go to, you know, a local, words escaping me, but like a town meeting or whatever. And, you know, if those people are there, you can ask them straight up and, you know, make it simple. Say, like, what do you think of an AR-15 or whatever? And as they're talking about it, if they don't use the word assault rifle, you might be onto something. If they do, if they do, they're probably going to do it right off the bat. You'll know, like, oh, shoot, okay, never mind.
Yeah, I think that the example you brought up a few weeks ago when you were talking about the brown versus brown race for our own area is that when you went to go talk to the woman, Sheriff Brown, that she actually would tell you what she thought and what she believed, and you can get kind of to the bottom of whether or not they match up with what you said.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Totally.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yes, and well, you know, and that's just it. Do you want to vote in somebody who is brainwashed?
Well, you want to be an educated voter and know what the situation is and who you're voting for.
And if you are an educated voter, then you're looking for the truth in things, and you're not willing to, I don't know, let your morals down to get something else done. At this point, it's like blah. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's almost like which way do you go? Because you know, I mean, it's a rock and a hard place.
Well, you know, a lot of times it is, because now it seems like every person up for that spot that you have to vote for is, okay, I need to choose between the lesser of two evils, you know?
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
And,
nice.
yeah. You caught it, didn't you?
And
Command,
you know, I mean, it
Commander of the Seas. Yes.
reminds me of like the saying, you know, I think Thomas Jefferson, if you don't read a newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read a newspaper, you're misinformed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what that kind of reminded me of, is that quote.
But if you know the difference and you know that the newspaper is misinformation, then at least you have a chance to judge and believe or not believe.
Well, you know what it really means is forget the newspaper, be self-educated, and be educated so that when you see and hear things, you can make a proper decision.
Right.
But I think knowing what's in the papers and knowing what's out there helps you to understand what your opposition is and be able to defeat them and talk to them about what your belief system is.
Yeah, helps you gauge you know, the outside and the other side, and you hear different
It gives you
opinions.
a measure stick to know what is out there.
Good call.
You know, I just want to throw in a comment here about that, which is, I really wish you guys would read that. That is really, really good. The op-ed piece out of the New York Times.
Yeah.
But here's what I wanted to say about that: how misinformed we truly are, and how selectively informed we are.
Right.
Now, you know that in just the past few weeks that President Obama's approval rating went down to the lowest in history. No one has been lower. It went down to a percentage of, actually some were saying 42, but actually it was 41%.
That is not his purse.
The lowest that ever happened to Bush was 43, and 43 Bush. And anyway, only 9, when that information came out, only 9 media outlets did it. Only 9.
Because they don't want to bleed that type of news.
Right. Now, when the difference, the dichotomy, or the difference of misinformation or lack of information, if you will, is this. When Bush is dropped to 42%, or 43%, excuse me, 124 news outlets
Jumped all over it.
You know,
for days.
Right. And you know what the sad thing about that is it's not necessarily what the people want to hear. It's what the news media wants you
Right.
to hear.
Yeah.
It's the.
But
it's,
that's
it's
why I
what,
was saying this piece right here. I'm sorry to cut you off, bro.
No.
This piece here is so good that I almost read it twice. It's the one where the New York Times finally says, after 30 years of lies, the New York Times admits assault weapons are a myth. Posted by Bob Owens on September 13th, 2004 at 8:45. And it says in a stunning op-ed release, and I'm sure Kanani did all the research on this to make sure this is correct, but it's interesting. It's an extremely interesting 2 minutes of reading. I just...
well, we'll get into it then, right? I mean,
So
let's-
then you're talking about the misrepresentation, and the truth about it is, and how people. I always thought AR stood for assault rifle.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Even I'm not doing the show.
Right.
And I keep thinking, no, it's not. What's that name for A? And you said it.
Armalite.
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 That's a
That's
type
the
of
company.
That's a type of. It's a company. I'm sorry. I thought it was the type of
Clay or something.
whatever it was.
Plastic.
Whatever it was
Right.
made of. Right. Yeah. Exactly. I
Well,
was,
no, I mean,
That would have been Mattel.
Well, I mean, I'm with you, Jim. I thought the same thing too before I kind of started figuring out what was going on, and I had to go look it up as well. And it didn't take long to figure out what it was. You can go to Wikipedia, and it just tells you like in the first line.
on AR.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good. So we should let
I mean,
people know that. That's for
it's
certain.
easy to find the information if you're willing to go look for it.
Well,
But we're
it's
not.
getting harder and harder, though, because if you go on Google or something like that, you will find that the opposite side has now figured out that, hey, we can see so many articles in the beginning that it takes years to get to the right article.
Yeah.
Well, I think then you're looking at whether or not the public knows what kind of information is valuable and what isn't, and because it depends on where it comes from.
Yeah,
Well,
but
how many people voted for Yee?
I mean, if you're looking at the first top 10 things about what an AR is and they're all Brady campaign, then you have to know that they're not
Right.
going to be telling the truth.
But 90%
So
of people,
CBS
unfortunately,
out,
don't know what the Brady
CNN
campaign is.
Exactly,
out,
exactly.
LC out.
They'll see Brady campaign and go, oh, cool, somebody who actually studies this stuff made a list. That's
Right,
good. Somebody
right.
studied it. And then they're going to read it and take it all for granted because they have no idea that the
Exactly.
Brady campaign
And
is
that's
it's
exactly what
not
happens.
right.
Right.
That's exactly
yeah,
right.
We,
That's
well, don't we
basically-
all do that sometimes? We get
Yeah,
the
we're all guilty
Yeah,
of it.
Yeah.
right.
Well,
I
we
mean,
believe that
it's
something is so true and that these people are so reliable.
Right.
Because why
I
would they
just
lie
said
to
it.
us?
Why
I
would
just
it be
said
in the
right?
newspaper?
Right.
I mean, it's a shot in the
There's-
dark. They could either
yeah.
read the NRA's top 10 or they can read Brady campaign's top 10. Whichever one that person reads in their daily news press, that's what they're going to believe.
I'm going to read the
Yeah.
Brady campaign. That way I know what the other side is thinking.
You will read the Brady
Yeah,
campaign.
but they're going to be starting to lose a lot of money pretty soon. He's deceased and everything. So
Well,
I mean, he was murdered.
you never know. In 100 years, they could go, see this? We have a bronze statue of Brady here because look at everything
Look at
he's
everything
done for our
he's done.
society.
Yeah.
We have no guns that are reported of.
True.
We could go to, we call it Brady Land.
Exactly.
Brady Land. It's no longer the United States. It's United Brady Land.
I was going with Brady Building or something, but Brady Land, that's pretty far.
It's
That's
kind of
pretty
like
scary.
Zombie Land.
Yeah.
A little bit, but
little
way
bit.
less deadly.
It's like that one.
I
It's
don't know
gun-free
about
zone.
that.
No, it's a gun-free
Yeah, it'd be
zone.
like the town.
That's less
It'll be
deadly.
perfect.
Yeah.
Only healthy snacks.
Because the criminal government will have guns and we will be giving it up.
No, we will not.
If you just listen to the tape later on, folks, and just listen to Kanani's little, they're pretty good. Every time she throws a little zinger in there.
Yeah, little zinger dart.
Yeah, little zinger stuff.
Zing.
All right. Well, you want to break it off for a few minutes, and then we'll come back with the debunking no one wants to take your guns myth and the assault
Sure.
rifle myth.
We can, yeah, that sounds good. There's a few things here that actually I want to get to before the show gets over. So we'll be right back with you on the firing line. Don't forget, you've got to stay here and listen to us.
Nice.
We'll be back to more of On the Firing Line with Joe and Jim after this.
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We'll be right back with you on the firing line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifles, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Building an AR-15, they have lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies and stuff.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol Classes and have trained thousands of local ladies.
The store is located off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit. Look for the big rifle sign on the freeway as well as the giant 5-ton Tactical military truck, and they're now open on Mondays. America!
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years.
On the air with the Midnight Mystic is one of our regular callers, truck driver Charlie.
Boy, I just seen another one, Midnight Mystic.
Another Griffin, Charlie?
I'm telling you, they're all over the Central Coast now.
How long have you been on the road now, Charlie?
2, 5, 8 weeks, I don't know.
Perhaps you should park the truck and get some sleep, and maybe the Griffins will disappear.
Well, there it is again. I'm going after it.
What does it look like, Charlie?
Holy mackerel. It's got the body of a lion and the head of an eagle.
Is it flying, Charlie?
It's on the side of a white truck.
Is it a Griffin plumbing truck, Charlie?
Could be. I don't know. I'm pulling right up to it.
We seem to have lost contact with Charlie, but I'm sure he'll be okay because Griffins, just like the good folks at Griffin Plumbing, are here to protect and serve. In fact, if your plumbing devices are threatened in any way,
Call the Griffin.
Find us at callgriffinplumbing.com or call 934-1949.
You are on the firing line with Joe, Matt, and Kanani. Be a part of today's show by calling 888-625-1440. Or if you're in the Santa Maria area, please call 928-1440.
You are back on the Firing Line with Matt, Joe, and Kanani. Anyway, give us a call, 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Give us a jingle. Tell us what you think an AR might mean in the perfect utopian future that is upon us. What is an AR going to be?
It's going to be, let's see, battery, nope.
No.
Assault,
No.
Rifle.
Yeah, maybe. If that's not too offensive.
The brainwashing will continue on. I mean, it goes on to be even as much as magazines and clips, bullets and cartridges.
Yeah. I mean, you can almost pick one thing out of just about any statement somebody says.
And you know what's funny is in some cases we will find that these statements are from people who have been brainwashed, and so they really are ignorant to the truths. But yet they are the people that are now the journalists and get to write and give to the world the information that they want.
Their awesome opinion.
Yes. And then there are those who are definitely devious and definitely know that they are brainwashing. You know, it was the Brady campaign. I actually read an article where they actually came out and said, look, if you have to lie to get your point across, go ahead and do it. It's okay. Yeah. Because the ultimate outcome will be better.
Yeah, they were saying the end justifies the means.
Right.
I mean, I think that's what Hitler said.
You know,
I'm just saying.
That just caused pause
I'm
for
just
a second.
saying.
We're just saying. He said it. All right, and here's another one. Did you know that in 1995, Eric Holder, announcing in a public campaign, we could brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way. What we need to do is change the way in which people think about guns, especially young people, and make it something that's not cool. That is not acceptable. It's not hip to carry a gun anymore or anywhere. And in the same way that we've changed their minds about cigarettes. Of course, dude, I don't know that they've necessarily changed their mind about cigarettes so much as they'd like to believe they did, because I think there's still plenty of high school kids going out in the corners and smoking dope and doing everything else. Yes, having a smoke.
Regardless, this unfortunately is fully true. This brainwash stuff. And it happens, and when they say they target young people to make it not cool, that is totally true, and it has worked.
It's a calculated move. It's
I hate to say that, but we've seen it firsthand. I mean, all the time. It's like I always have these stupid stories, but Just the people that I meet.
Well, let's hear one of those stupid stories.
Well, it's always something. I mean, I'm out to dinner with some friends, and this is Matt. He lives and works in Santa Maria. What do you do? Gun shop, this, that, and the other. Immediately, as soon as I said that, it was like I just told him I got out of prison. And like it was kind of like, okay, no one's really talking to me.
Special needs person now.
Yeah, no one's really talking to me the rest of the dinner, and then the dude gets up. We're all leaving, and the only thing he says to me is, "All right, don't shoot anybody." And I'm just like, you know what? Like,
why would I shoot somebody?
Yeah, and I didn't even talk about guns. Like, they found out I worked at a gun store, and boom, that was game over. And it's just like we just read. They make it seem like it's uncool not, you know what I mean? They've
brainwashed so many people now that it's become a part of society unless we regain it. I see something coming.
I was going to say something. I would say, you mean not starting with you?
Yeah, right.
I love it, but I enjoy that look. I enjoy that.
Right. No, and I get that, but
I like to stand out.
Me too. I do too. I just love it.
Unfortunately, with the people that have these attitudes already, if I say something like that, it's going to perpetuate it even worse. They're going to be like, "See, the crazy gun guy's already threatening to kill me."
I'll give you an example as well.
You're right.
I went to my sister's for a barbecue, and she has a friend there who's a comedian, goes to different things and does her comedian skits. And they asked me what I did, and I told them, and I started talking about it a little bit. And she goes, "Do you think that's appropriate at a barbecue to talk about that?"
Oh my gosh, seriously? Didn't she just totally ask for your story?
Yeah, and then later on that night, barbecue turns from lunch to dinner. We're sitting around the table, and I start talking about how people need to have guns for self-protection. And I'm talking in the voice that I have right now. And they're like, "Why are you so mad? You're so angry about this."
No, I'm passionate about it.
That's exactly what I said. I'm sick of women getting hurt and not being able to protect themselves because they believe that guns are so bad.
But that's the turnaround. It's like, do you think that women should be abused? You think that's justified? You think that's okay?
Well, that's what you can say
would you
to
hate
them.
women?
Oh, yeah. I agree with that.
Why do you have to be so unsympathetic about it?
Our arguments back to them, our rebuttals, they have too much logic.
Yeah.
They'll literally shake their head at us and tell us to shut up. Because it is something that has so much logic and it's common sense that it is foreign to them.
Yeah.
What, you want me to defend myself? You are crazy.
Well, they're also running completely on emotion, just kind of what their gut tells them and what they've heard, and just sort of those talking points and those little tiny snippets back and forth.
Yeah.
That's like they just have no thought about what exactly is going on.
No, they don't have a realistic.
And they don't even know what they're saying.
No, and then like what you just said, Joe, the word unacceptable. Are you sure that's acceptable for this dinner or whatever?
Right.
I think that's appropriate for barbecue.
Appropriate. I've heard that too. Inappropriate. This is an inappropriate conversation. I've heard that. And and usually it was like, okay, my buddy down the couple seats away or whatever asked me, "Hey, what do you think of an MP9?" And I start telling him, and then somebody's not even involved in the conversation. This is kind of an inappropriate conversation, and I've heard
political correctness can kiss my
inappropriate. I mean, what's the difference between me talking about an engine in my car or talking about the firearm on my hip? What's the difference?
Right.
Because Holder got it done.
Exactly.
The Brady campaign,
right
Holder, Clinton, all these people they accomplished something.
That's exactly
in America. They
the point
seeded
here.
our society so much that a lot of people that we talk to believe it.
Absolutely, 100%.
If you've got a gun, if you're a gun owner, oh my God, someday you're going to go out and commit mass murder.
Well, that's the normal stereotype now. That's the common thought. So when they think about common sense gun control, that's exactly what they're talking about. Where ours idea, which actually is more common than theirs is this foreign, crazy, paranoid.
Yeah, that's just the instant, like, oh, that's what that is.
Yeah, and that they've told them that's what that case is. Like, you're the normal ones, and they're the crazy, paranoid, prepper people.
One more stupid
people.
Story from Matt. Because what you just said, it makes everything. I'm like, oh no, I've heard this. I'm down in the town where all this stuff happens, and we're out and about, and this one guy, he actually, anyway, he saw my shirt, the tactical shirt. He starts talking about guns, and he says, "Man, have you heard about this crazy place in Arizona where like militias go to train? Like average people pay money to go and train and be part of a militia."
That's a crazy place.
And I'm thinking to myself, and I said, "Well, there's lots of training stuff." And he goes, "Yeah, it's something site," and I was like, "Front Sight?" He goes, "Yeah, that's the one." And I said, "And what do you think they're doing?" He said, "Oh, well, aren't they training militias?" Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, that is like that's good for people to go to Front Sight. It's a basic training facility, but that's all it is. It's a train. I mean, people are so blown away. Oh, there's a group of people shooting pistols. They must be training for a militia. And it's so far from the truth. I mean, it's just people like you, me, and Jim, and Kanani that are going there trying to do something that's both fun and that will better ourselves. We can learn stuff, but it gets turned by, exactly what we're talking
about.
Look
what Benghazi has done to us, too. Now, do you know that 2 of those guys in Benghazi that were killed were supposed to be helping and support the ambassador?
Right.
Did you know that?
Right.
Yeah, and they had to get trained. They had to go to special schools and stuff like that, and they were ex-military people. Now they weren't part of the government at all, but they gave their lives for that, and they had to be trained to.
Yes.
I went through the whole thing. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet on Fox News.
It's a great
I've seen it.
That's a great one.
Terrific?
Watch what those guys went through and losing a couple buddies. But you know what? That Benghazi, that brings up a whole nother story. We could go hours on that because. Hey, they said it. They were turned down 2 or 3 times,
multiple times,
the help that they needed, and they had to go on their own to go out and help out the rest of the people there. So that story is
what got me on that
crazy.
Story though is, and this is what he was saying. Somebody had to train these guys. These guys had to now volunteer and take assignments under contractual things. I want these guys. I want these people. I want these people around. I want these people guarding our embassies and guarding the things that we do.
Yeah.
And if people don't understand what that really means, they're sick. There's something wrong with our society that doesn't understand what. I mean, I could never think of myself doing something that dangerous.
Well, and those guys do have different training, though, than what the average person gets. Right. But like what Matt said, when you go to Front Sight, you're learning a basic skill. And it's like this. So if a person has a gun, is it just to assume that they're a killer, or is it to assume that, hey, that person probably wants that gun for self-protection? And if he's going to have it for self-protection, should he get some sort of training with that firearm so that he doesn't hurt himself or somebody else and be that person that's going to hurt somebody?
I think it depends on which side of the argument you're on.
Well, and that's
which side are you on, Will Missy?
I mean, to us, again, a logical standpoint with common sense, it doesn't make any sense to these people. But it's just, like Joe just said, it's people learning how to use a tool. It's just like if you, bought whatever, and you wanted to learn how to use it, you go do it.
I mean, doesn't somebody who gets any sort of talent or hobby or skill want to be the very best possible?
Heck yes.
Yeah, I mean, nobody starts anything to just be mediocre at it.
And it's very empowering.
But nobody starts anything to be very mediocre about it, but I think that's where our society is going.
It's
and that's
gone
where
there.
Right.
All I have to do is buy the one piece of thing or whatever and do it for a day, and I'm pretty good at it all of a sudden.
Because nobody is better than anyone else. We have leveled that playing field, even in our children's and in the grade schools, that nobody gets an extra award for being first place. Nobody gets that little extra star for being on time every single day for the year. Everybody is at its lowest common denominator.
That's sad.
Yeah,
it
is
is
sad.
True. That's true.
It is very sad.
That's a total bummer. I mean, that's even just, it hasn't been that long since I was in school, but in 20 years or whatever, things have changed so crazy that, what, in 10 or 20 more, what the heck?
Yeah, what the heck
is
going to be
The brainwashing has not stopped. At first, it was subtle innuations of words and changes of words, right? Now we have it in our schools where students are arrested for writing the word gun. Yeah. That's even more brainwashing.
For going pew pew.
Now our teachers and the school system has been so brainwashed and converted by these socialists.
So they're being told that those are inflammatory words and there's something that we should take action to remove those students away from the rest of the population.
Yeah.
They are a danger because they use that vocabulary.
An 8-year-old boy playing Army, they're thinking, he's going to come shoot up the school.
Right.
Because he's playing Army.
Well, that's what we had in this article here. Police lawyer releases statements on student's alleged dinosaur killing. Because a kid wrote an article, on...
he wrote a Facebook status, which was an assignment from his teacher to tell something about himself, and it's like 2 sentences. Let me pull it up. It says, I killed my neighbor's pet dinosaur, and then in the next status I said, I bought the gun to take care of business.
And because of that, he's harassed, pulled into the principal's office. The police are called. They're questioning him. They take him down to the police department too, don't they? Question him. And when he throws up any static about it, they arrest him for disturbing the school or breaking up the process of the school. And this is part of the brainwashing process.
Yeah, exactly.
Because just like I think Kanani said for a second ago, now I forgot exactly the words, but it's like you're brainwashing now beyond the point of just simple words that change the meanings. Now you're brainwashing me into fearing that it's not acceptable.
Yeah, they've gone from changing the vocabulary that they use to describe a situation to punishing the attitudes that go against what our belief system is. And then pretty soon it's just going to be, it doesn't matter what it is, everything is just...
And they're punishing creativity, they're punishing him to use his imagination, all things that... I think
they're
when
punishing
we were in
him
school,
for having an inkling of idea for self-defense in the long run.
And now, you go down the line for this kid, he's gonna hesitate to make his own decision for the rest of his life because he's gonna remember the time he got slapped for it when he was in school.
Because he used the word gun.
He's been set as an example, and now it's on his record for the rest of his life unless he gets it sealed.
Yeah, he's under 18 though.
Yeah, I mean he'll get it sealed, but still, it never should have happened.
It should not have happened.
Yeah.
That's the paranoia that our society is underneath from the school shootings, but it's unreasonable.
Right, open your eyes.
Yeah, it's unreasonable paranoia. I mean, it's just stupid.
It is absolute unreasonable paranoia. But another thing that gets me mad is now we have the schools that are brainwashed, and now they're installing this brainwash by force. These guys didn't even call the parents of this kid to tell them what was going on.
Yeah.
They took full authority, along with the police, to decide what was going to happen. When did this happen? When did it become like this?
Well, do we know if it was a private or a public school? Do we know that?
I don't know.
Because if it was a public school, that's illegal. If it's a private school, they can do whatever they want. So...
Hey, I'll tell you what, that's illegal. At the school where my son went to for junior high here in town, he had a gun pointed at the back of his head. Turns out later on it was only a pellet gun, which still could have killed him. Nobody called to tell me. I had to find out from my son.
Yeah, I remember
Tommy
that.
Kunst. I
right
just said it.
here,
I spit it out. That's where it happened because that's the truth. That's what happened.
Yeah, and they tried to sweep that under the rug that day.
And they would not tell me their emergency programs set in place to how to deal with these things, which is another thing is illegal. I know that I had the rights to sue them, but you can only go so far, and it takes money to do things.
You can only fight so many battles at once, I mean, and that's true. Of course, you get amped up, especially stuff like that, but unless you have the extreme means, it's hard to do stuff about that.
Very true. But the school system, the media, the political machine...
It's poison, dude.
...has so poisoned the rest of society that the machine is winning. And
it's time to rage against the machine.
Yeah, it is. And we don't have to rage with weapons. We can rage with words. Words empowered to us by a constitution that allows us to fight without using guns. Using guns is the very last measure.
Right. Yeah, exactly. What I like using guns for is poking holes in paper. And that's, I think, what most people use them for, So, I mean, it just gets so astray.
The majority of safe gun ownership well outweighs those who commit crimes with them.
And be honest with you, in the same statement, the majority of people who are safe gun owners outweigh the people with the loud voices by far.
By far.
Yeah.
But that squeaky wheel seems to get it done for us every time, doesn't it?
Well, it's hard to ignore the people who are yelling and screaming about mothers demand action and mayors who are against it and whatnot.
And all that stuff is like, it's a facade, up front. Yeah, mothers demand action. You look into it a little bit and you realize, hey, these women have been paid.
People.
Yeah, there's these few women that have been paid by Brady campaign and they fly them around from different, demonstration to demonstration. So it looks like they're everywhere, all over the United States, but it's the same.
And they're
women.
important. Look how lavishly they're being treated.
Yeah, exactly.
And look at the important words they use.
Exactly.
Yes.
Wait, you hate mothers now?
Yeah,
they're just trying to keep their children
That's
safe.
Like you were saying earlier before. What, you hate women?
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't want them to defend themselves?
I love women.
It's like the Mothers for Peace. Have you seen them? They haven't been a mother in 40 years, man.
Right.
It's just a lie.
That's like Grandmas Against Guns.
Yikes.
Oh, well. There's a group called that.
Oh, yeah.
Grandmas Against Guns.
Sure. And, I understand, if you have a child and is a victim of a crime and, he gets killed, stabbed, shot, whatever, you're going to be upset, extremely upset, and you're going to quickly point, okay, how did he die? A gun shot my son. Okay, so I'm mad at the gun. And that's where it ends for these people.
And that's such BS.
Exactly.
You cannot use that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
But, that's how they think of it.
here's one more thing. We have a president in the House right now. In the House. Not this House, but the White House. And he is saying we need common sense gun laws.
Oh, my, this guy.
Common sense is another made-up... It's not a made-up term. Common sense is a term. But the ideal that he's putting behind it and the meaning that he's using to push forward the agenda of gun sense, common sense gun laws. It's another fallacy. It's another BS statement.
Read Animal House. 2 legs good, or 2 legs bad, 4 legs good. I mean, you know, read Animal House, man. It'll tell you exactly what society's all about.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know. Lots of things I don't agree with right now.
Well, can I go back to, you said that we have so many people who have our voice. I think where our voice matters, and I think a lot of the people who have the same ideas, they go out and they vote and they put their opinions on paper so that the people who are appointing our sheriffs, our police chiefs and the people who are making these rules, that we can influence where that's going. If the president installs the Supreme Court, then we need to be sure that who we're voting for president then installs the people for their life that believe the same things that we do.
Right.
You do.
That's where our voice can be heard. Just because we're not yelling and screaming on Facebook or on the news, I think there's still... And
I think, too, that nowadays, since the political parties have become so diluted and don't necessarily stand up for what their platforms are or do or are what they are supposed to be, that it is even more important to take the time to figure out who these people are that we're electing. Sometimes it might be better not to elect a Democrat or a Republican. Sometimes it might be better to elect a Democrat in place of a Republican or vice versa.
Yeah.
I mean, these are decisions that each and every person has to make for themselves. But like you said, Kanani, it's just so important to do your own research and figure it out.
Yep. I mean, even if it's someone close to you, that you know, they might tell you one thing, but deep down inside, you have no idea what box they're actually going to check once they get there.
I mean,
you know, they might just say they like guns to your face because they know that you like guns and they don't want to have a confrontation.
Yeah, and I think some of the people that they interview on the news where they talk about that same thing, that's what they're going to say. Oh, this person wants me to say that they don't like guns, so I'm going to say that.
Exactly. They invited me on their show, so I'm going to say what.
So I'm going to agree with whatever they say because I don't want to have a problem, and I don't want to say anything that upsets the whole pro quo.
Yeah. Yeah,
or I'm too afraid to talk about it because I might be ridiculed by the media. And so
exactly, if I talk about it, then I'm not going to get another gig, and I'm not going to be able to feed my kids. Right. So that's another stranglehold that they have as far as the brainwashing goes.
It's up to us to change the direction of society, and we have the power to do it if we unite as a great people of one nation.
Every individual makes up a group.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have some diversity so long as there's a common core, a common ground that unites us all. And that's one thing that America has always offered us, is that common core is our Constitution. And it is the line that even though we may have a different God that we follow, even though we have a different ideal of what's good and what's bad, this one thing keeps us all together.
Yep.
And we can have those differences.
Yep.
It's amazing how this happens.
But I think sometimes, too, that those differences are things that just don't matter. Like, who cares if we listen to the same music or we like the same foods? If we all believe in the same ideals, we can all come together on that and then go our separate ways after that. It's not like we all have to be best friends.
Right, yeah. We don't have to hang out all year. We just have to agree for an hour.
Right.
You know, so
no, we can put aside our differences.
Reminds me of the holidays and going to see family.
Well, and that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, I would say that's probably one of the best examples that I've heard. I mean, people who believe in gun rights, they may not all have the same beliefs, and that's totally cool. But we're all going to get along. We're all going to unite under one heading.
Well, personally, I think that if we're all going to get along, then the people who say that's not appropriate to talk about that here should just shut up.
Well, yeah, because if I'm going to have to sit there and listen to them talk about whatever the heck it is that I don't want to hear, but I'm still going to be polite and listen, then I expect the same.
Exactly.
And it's that simple.
That's the point.
You know, as long as we don't start talking about dead babies at the dinner table, I'm open for discussion. Sorry.
Okay, I think we just went back to Vietnam. Matt's shell shocked.
Something.
What a way to stop the conversation.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
good at
see,
that.
he's just a normal gun person, talking about
that's just
dead
me. I'm
babies.
one of those crazy gun guys. Yeah.
I'm glad you said this now before the law went through to where they can go through and confiscate your guns until they figure out you're okay.
Okay, yeah, that's all right. I'll be checked in about 2 hours. Oh, man, this is tough stuff working with you guys. Well, I don't know, I guess morals of the story of the day are, again, think for yourself.
Don't believe everything you hear.
Exactly. Do lots of, reading and stuff, but take it all with a grain of salt as you get this information. And then when somebody says something, you use that information to portray us in a good light. As always, have a nice day.